So Concord, Sony's upcoming 5v5 hero team-based shooter, has finally entered beta, open to anyone who has pre-ordered a copy through physical retailers or on the digital storefronts for PlayStation 5 or PC, as well as PlayStation Plus subscribers. The reveal trailer was not well received, with over 67,000 dislikes compared to just 6,500 likes at the time of writing, and the comments section filled with people wondering who on earth asked for this game, especially considering there are reports of a scrapped Twisted Metal reboot and a multiplayer Last of Us Factions experience which got cancelled. One has to ask, would we have preferred to play those games instead of what we got here in Concord? Well, after playing Concord during the first beta weekend, I have to say I'm not excited nor optimistic for the future of this game. Let me just start by saying that this is a beta, so perhaps things can change over time as we only got to play a small portion of the game with only a few maps and modes, but we can use the 16 heroes in the game known as free gunners. When you boot up the game, you are treated to this sort of oddly placed cutscene, which despite being shot fairly well, I wasn't hyped up or feeling any emotions for these characters or whatever motives they have in uniting against some invisible force that, I'm being quite honest, I don't really understand, and I don't think many people actually care about what's going on in here. So because of that, these supposedly touching, yeah, let's work together sort of scenes don't really hit, and if I wasn't capturing this content for a video, I probably would have just skipped through it. But luckily I didn't, because I got this incredible foreshadowing moment right here.
Most people never get what they want. Set your expectations low. And prepare to be disappointed.
Straight into the gameplay, we have two brawl modes featuring Team Deathmatch and Trophy Hunt, which is like Kill Confirmed, as well as two rivalry modes, which are one life competitive modes with an objective, so Cargo Run and Clash Point. Now, there are going to be some modes coming in the second week of the beta, but my first problem with the game right off the bat were the modes. I do not feel the modes in this game are the best possible reflection of what Concord has to offer. The brawl modes, TDM and Trophy Hunt, didn't have a specific objective that teams had to sit back on to attack or defend, so sometimes you can feel a bit lost, and then you were just running around in a budget Call of Duty game. And those one life modes didn't seem to make a lot of sense, because while there was an objective, the rounds were over really quickly, and there wasn't enough time for the game to evolve. I found it very interesting in the one life modes, particularly Clash Point, where if you win a round, you have to use a different free gunner. I think this could work, but overall, I feel in this instance, on these maps, in the situations that I played, it sort of hurt the evolution of the game. It sort of added a bit more of a luck element to it rather than a skill. I get the whole point is you need to be proficient with a variety of heroes, but I would much rather have heroes that could work together and synergize better and be really good at one or two of those instead of being okay at 10 different heroes with very generic abilities. It also sucked that in a large amount of these games, I had people leaving early, which completely killed the match off and made it virtually unplayable. But when I did have a full stack, it wasn't fulfilling or enjoyable, and instead, I really just felt I was going through the motions. In terms of the heroes or free gunners themselves, each one has a primary weapon, some have a secondary sidearm that you can switch to. They also each have two abilities, and most of them, aside from the heavy tanks, have a dodge. There are also dodge traits, so if you dodge, you might reload the weapon you have in your hand or have temporarily faster movement speed. But you'll notice that there is no ultimate ability that has to charge up. It's simply just the two abilities that regenerate over time, or in some cases after you perform a specific action such as getting an elimination. You see, in games like Overwatch or XDefiant, ultimates tend to change the tide of battle, and one really good exemplary display of teamwork can make the difference in your team pushing the point to the goal. Now, maybe once we get some more objective-based game modes with respawns, it will be easier to gauge how effective this lineup of heroes are, but right now, it doesn't seem to be working, and I feel that I'm running around with 4 other individuals instead of a unified squad. Those abilities sort of feel more like a lethal and a tactical in Call of Duty. Now, that's not to say the game isn't fun, per se, with a bit of an asterisk. I did have a couple games where I felt unstoppable and I was absolutely popping off, although I'm not sure why this scoreboard doesn't sort players from best to worst performing, but for me the fun really didn't last long. Yes, this is a beta, and it simply might be just a case of I want more content, but I'm concerned because I don't think I was necessarily begging for more content. I instead found myself trying to justify this game, saying, why would we have to play this instead of something like Last of Us Factions? The maps we did get all felt boring, bland, and honestly the only difference I observed was the color palette. None of the maps I got to play were interesting or detailed, and the game as a whole honestly felt fairly empty. Now, some of this can be forgiven if Sony perhaps plans for this to be an esport title with less detail and visual fidelity in favor of performance, and I'll say on PlayStation 5 I had absolutely no issues, and I do plan to play the second weekend on PC to see how performance is there, but from what I've heard the performance seems to be okay. But the gameplay we got to experience was very generic, and all the free gunners sort of handled the same way and all the weapons felt too similar. I don't want to harp on about Overwatch. I actually personally am not an Overwatch fan, but in that game all the heroes have been very clearly defined, all the roles feel very unique. I didn't feel that here at any point, and the more I played and experimented with each free gunner, I was very quickly losing interest. Now, that was a pretty negative outlook on this game, and if you felt you enjoyed this game, then that's fine. But I can't see myself at this stage recommending what I played today for $40 in the US or $60 in Australia, especially when something like Overwatch is free to play. When you release a product that is not only more expensive than your competitor, but also drops nearly a decade after the rival product, it has to be supreme in quality. You need fun modes, interesting characters, visceral gameplay. You tell me, looking at what you're seeing here of this footage of our team huddled in one area on Team Deathmatch, you tell me if that ticked any of these boxes. Maybe we didn't get to play the best version of Concord. Maybe these Brawl TDM modes and Rivalry One Life competitive modes do not showcase these free gunners in their best light. Part of me thinks the takeover modes, which appear they may have more attacking and defending objectives with respawns, like other games in the same genre, will better suit Concord. But Sony is fighting an uphill battle to convince gamers to fork out their cash. Microsoft is currently under a lot of flack for complicating the Game Pass subscription model just to disguise a price hike after some stagnation in subscribers. So this is a great opportunity for Sony to hit back with a stellar product in a frustrating, crowded, and increasingly expensive market. If the other modes and maps we didn't get to play do not offer a more dynamic experience, then Concord will very quickly fail and be forgotten only to service a small community with some basic cosmetic updates every couple of months. I'll be optimistic, as I hope the open access beta beginning on July 18 will bring us some revitalized gameplay, but if you are unsure about Concord, hold off until the open beta. You can give it a try before putting down any cash. It will not require a pre-order and is open to everybody on PlayStation 5 and PC. I may do another video on the second week of the beta, so be sure to subscribe so you don't miss that or any of my other upcoming videos. Don't forget to leave a like if you enjoyed this video, and please leave a comment to let me know your thoughts on Concord. Lancey out.